Hello, welcome all to my channel. Today we are going to just see instance and schemas and level of schemas. So let's start. For the previous lecture, we have just seen what are the different levels of data abstraction. Database is the collection of huge data, related and complex kind of an data it contains. So by hiding the irrelevant, unwanted data from the user and just representing only the interested or required data to the end user is nothing but called as data abstraction. This kind of an facility is provided with the help of levels of data abstraction and schemas and instances. Last lecture, we have just gone about the different levels of data abstraction. There are three levels of data abstraction: physical, logical, and a view level. So for each and the every level have some kind of a restriction for representation of the data. With that, we are providing abstraction. Now, for today's session, we are just seeing what is the schema and instances. First of all, schema. The designing of the database is called as a schema. Before just going to discuss in detail about the schema, let's consider one example, that is we are trying to build a one home. So whenever we are just considering their designing, we are just discussing the many number of things, that what is how many number of rooms are there, what is the dimension of each and the every room, what is this orientation, where is the entrance, like that. So we are just making the blueprint of all these our requirements before actually starting the construction. We are going to design the plan for the house. That is carried out seen by the schema in the designing of a database. Or you can consider the seat arrangement in a bus. In a bus, there are the number of seats are there. It will be consist of a particular layout of the sitting arrangement. There are the number of seats are arranged in some specific format. That is in a fixed. That sitting arrangement is not going to be frequently changed. That designing is nothing but called as a schema. The same logic we can be implement while considering the schema. Before actually starting the work on the database, we are just concentrating that what is the designing of that database. The description of the database is nothing but called as a database schema. Whatever the database we are creating, how it will be carried out, what is this loop, what are the things we are going to be implemented, how many tables are there, that table will be consist of which kind of an entities, attributes, all these we are going to be decided. It is nothing but called as a schema. And obviously, this one is just all this consideration is we are going to be specified during the database designing, and it is expected that it is not going to be changed very frequently. Database schema defines the variable declaration in the table that belongs to that particular database. So this one is related with a schema. Now, next one is instance. You can say the instance. The instance means you can say that a specific time, isn't it? Now, in a database, we have just seen that there is a flexibility of managing, modifying, or altering the database. That means we can modify the data. So for each and the many number of times you are just changing or doing the different operations on the database. At a particular instant, what is the latest situation of the database, that is called as an instance of database. For example, you can say that at the morning session, that is at 10:30 a.m., the data administrator just go to the database and check how many number of entries are there. For example, let's consider there are the 50 entries. So at the 10:30 a.m., 50 entries available in the database is the instance at that particular 10:30 a.m. After 2 hours, that is at 12:30 p.m., he is again going to be cross-check the updation in the database. At that time, he found that there are the 100 entries. So at the 12:30 p.m. is 100 entries. This is the instance at 12:30. That means updation at as the different timing instances is nothing but called as an instance. It is frequently going to be changed. Previous the same example, that is in a bus arrangement. The seats are fixed over there, but the person who is occupying that seat may be often a different. Some are leaving the bus, some are entering of the bus, some is moving from one seat to the another seat. That is the arrangement, that is movement of the is going to be changed for each and every instance of an time. That is called as an instance in the DBMS. The value of a variable at the moment of a time is called as instance of that database. We are changing the different kinds of variable names. For example, at the particular instant, I am giving the variable value a is equal to 10. And tomorrow, I am just saying that that variable value is something different. A is equal to 25. So that is the instance at that particular time. The data stored in table at any moment of a time is nothing but called as instance of that database. The database schema defines the attributes in a table, whereas value of these attributes at any moment is nothing but called as instance of a database. Attributes are remaining as the same one. They are not going to be changed. If there is a student data, then the student name, its class, roll number, these attributes will be remain same. But whatever the values of the students, that may be going to be changed day by day, and that's why the value of that attribute is nothing but called as the instance of the database. Now, as we see that there are the different levels of the abstraction. With the help of on the basis of that, the schemas are also going to be designed or differentiated. That's why there are the three kinds of the schema: physical schema, logical schema, and view schema. So first of all, the physical schema. It is also called as an internal schema. Physical level is the lowest level of the data abstraction, where we are just concentrating on how data is actually stored in a physical memory. On the same basis, that means this kind of work is carried out for the physical level. Then how this work is carried out, its designing is carried, that is called as the physical schema. That how I am going to be store the data in a physical memory, that all discussion is carried out in the physical schema. It is the design of the database at the physical level. That is, how data is stored in a block of storages is described in this level. It describes the complete details of a data storage and various available access method for that database. Next is nothing but a logical schema, or it is also called as a conceptual schema. In a logical level of the data abstraction, we are described what data the database stores. Means it is the main concentration over here is what kind of data we are going to be stored. And its designing, that is what kind of data is stored, that we are going to be discussed at the logical schema. It is the design of the database as a logical level is called as logical schema. Programmers as well as data administrator are working at this level. This is also described that certain types of data records get stored in the data structure. That is what the data we are going to be stored. So obviously we will be use some kind of data structure. However, the internal details such as an implementation of that particular data structure is obviously hidden at this level, which is available in the physical. So what is the data is going to be stored, that is just discussed in the logical schema. And the last one is nothing but a view schema. We have known that view level is important just to represent the different forms of the same database as per the requirement of the user. So how it is going to be implemented, that we are going to be discussed in the view schema, or it is also called as an external schema because it is available in a external view, external type for the towards the end user. It is the highest level of abstraction, describes only the part of an entire database depending on the end user. This level describes the user interaction within a database. Even though the logical levels uses the simpler structure, complexity remains over there because of variety of information is stored in a large kind of a database. So, thank you all. This one is for the today's session. Thank you.